Okay. Hi, everyone. Hopefully everybody has managed to enter the webinar okay. I'm just going to start off by sharing my screen and then we'll do some introductions and get into the application guidance. So, cool. So hopefully you guys can see my slides. If somebody on the panel could please just confirm that you guys can see everything okay and hear me. Yeah, all good. Brilliant. So thank you everyone for joining us today. So the purpose of today is really to run through our neurotechnology clinical pilot call, and it's intended to be a webinar for applicants just to give you a quick run through of our application guidelines, what we're expecting in terms of what would constitute a strong proposal, and then we'll quickly run through some of our expectations, and then we'll talk a little bit about our review criteria and some of our timelines. But before we start, I thought we'd do some quick introductions. So obviously, my name is Shadia. I work for Spinal Research as their Clinical Research Network Manager. And Linda.
Hi, everybody. Glad you could join today. So I'm working with Spinal Research as an advisor to help them with this RFA and chairing study section.
Good afternoon, good morning to everyone who's joining us. My name is Cynthia, and I'm the Research Portfolio Manager at Spinal Research.
Great, thanks, guys. So to start with, I thought we could do a quick overview and give you some context as to how our neurotechnology clinical pilot call was born. So some of you, depending on how closely you've worked with spinal research in the past, may already know that spinal research has been dedicated to investing in clinical neuromodulation projects over the past 8 years. And we've done that through our special emphasis network grants. So as a result of this, we've funded different studies such as the Pathfinder study, which focused on non-invasive spinal cord stimulation for high-level spinal cord injuries. We've also funded the IMPRESS study, which remains in progress and is still recruiting participants. So that's looking at epidural spinal cord stimulation for bladder, bowel, and sexual function. And we've also funded a transcutaneous spinal cord stimulation project, which looked at the recovery of hand and arm function in people with spinal cord injury. So in terms of next steps, we're now looking to take the next step more broadly to support advancements in neurotechnology research and hopefully to move closer to meaningful improvements in the lives of people affected by spinal cord injury. So we're inviting, as you already know, proposals for UK capacity building research projects that seek to advance neurotechnologies for spinal cord injury. And as we progress, we'll talk a little bit more about what UK capacity building means in this context and exactly what we mean by neurotechnologies. So just wanted to briefly also point out that, of course, we encourage proposals from multidisciplinary teams spanning academic, clinical, industry, and engineering sectors. So in terms of UK capacity building, we just really wanted to highlight that at Spinal Research, our ambitions are to strengthen the UK's ability to carry out high quality research. We want to promote the building of skills, expertise, and partnerships, especially as it relates to neurotechnologies and how they can impact the clinical field and our spinal cord injury community. We want to support the creation of long-term foundations for sustainable research growth and position the UK as a leader in clinical neurotechnology research for spinal cord injury. And ultimately, we want to ensure that the UK's got the expertise, infrastructure, collaborations, and the clinical readiness to lead and expand research in neurotechnologies for spinal cord injury, and hopefully make a meaningful clinical impact, as I said, for our community. So over to Cynthia. She's going to quickly talk to you guys about eligibility and funding.
Right, so part of our eligibility, request that the primary investigator would be qualified in terms of having a PhD or similar, and they must be beyond their postdoc level. We ask for investigators to submit one application in which they are the primary investigator. And also, because we are building on the UK capacity building focus, and we would like to have the lead applicant be a UK-based clinician or researcher. We do encourage international collaborations. However, we ask that they are not the lead, but just a collaborator would be great. And that at least one clinical trial site should be located in the UK. Industry collaborations are also welcome, and UK-based research and clinical partnerships are also encouraged. We also ask for the applicants to show a clear intent and approach for engagement with people with lived experience of spinal cord injury or PLEX community for the design, conduct, and also dissemination of their proposed study. We also are able to consider co-funding projects that are funded by other agencies as well. In terms of funding, the length of time should be about 18 to 30 months. And the amount that we're awarding is up to 250K per project. For our grant, we're not allowing for overhead or indirect costs. All budgets naturally should be in pounds, British pounds. In terms of equipment as well, we don't really encourage equipment purchases, but they can be allowed or if it is necessary and as well as justified for this project as well. The cost for open access publications are also allowed, and we're limiting to £2,500 per year for travel. And we are also requesting that the funds are to be allocated for data management and data curation as well. Okay, so the process for the LOI, for this RFA is in two stages. We have, first of all, the letter of intent that we've opened in January. And when the deadline arrives, we will be going through all the applications and then selecting those which will be progressing to the next stage, which is the full grant application or the FGA. And we will alert everyone of the outcome by then. So we have the timeline here. The FGA invitations would be around April. And that at the same time will allow for the outcome for those who are successful as unsuccessful as well. The FGA have a deadline which is due in June for those who are invited, and we're anticipating that the award will be announced sometime in August and funding to be ready by the end of August of the same year.
Okay, thanks, Cynthia. So in terms of RFA descriptions, some of you guys might have already had a flick through the application guide and find this a little bit familiar, but just to give you a brief overview for those who haven't had the opportunity, the purpose of this RFA is to support neurotechnologies designed to restore, modulate, or enhance neural activity and network function following spinal cord injury. We do allow for invasive and non-invasive spinal cord and or brain modulating or interfacing technologies, and these are expected to serve as the primary interventions. Talking a little bit more in detail about how we define neurotechnology in this instance. So we've given some examples below. So neuromodulation is included, and examples of that include peripheral nerve stimulation, transcutaneous stimulation, transcranial stim, vagus nerve stimulation, and epidural stimulation. We also include brain-computer interfaces, which enable direct neural control, and neuroprosthetics, which includes devices that restore or enhance neural controlled function. I should emphasize as well, this list isn't, it includes these sort of elements, but it's not limited. So I'm sure there are other examples that you might come up with. There are proposals for NMES or neuromuscular electrical stimulation. may be submitted, but we just wanted to emphasize that these must include highly novel and innovative advancements. And in terms of the kinds of functions that we're interested in, we've been pretty broad in terms of our scope. So we want to welcome proposals addressing function restoration across all different body systems affected by spinal cord injury. And that can include, but again, not limited to motor, sensory, pain, bowel, bladder, spasticity, and autonomic functions. One of the things that we also really wanted to highlight is that all studies are expected to recruit or involve human participants. So in this instance, preclinical studies would not be eligible for this particular RFA. And for some inspiration, we've detailed some areas of focus that we'd be interested in. So responder profiling. So for example, investigation of biomarkers, predictors, or mechanisms that underlie an individual's variability to therapeutic response to those neurotechnology, and to guide personalized or adaptive neurotechnological interventions. Another area of focus is therapeutic efficacy and optimization. So we'd be interested in approaches to measure, enhance, and optimize therapeutic effects of neurotechnologies, including refinement of stimulation parameters, which can maximize efficacy. We're interested as well in innovative trial design, so the development of adaptive protocols, novel clinical trial methodologies, or assessment frameworks that address the unique challenges of neurotechnology evaluation. And finally, we're also open to device prototyping and usability testing. So for example, developing a new device or adapting an existing technology for a new use to achieve proof of concept and identifying any design, performance, or user interaction issues. So,
in terms of the LOI review criteria, I'll just highlight a few points that the review panel or the committee will be looking for when they come to looking through the applications that are submitted to us. So, for example, there's a relevance to the RFA. Of course, we're looking for, whether the proposed work that you've submitted is relevant to the RFA and whether you have met the stated criteria or application guidelines. And we're looking for the importance and impact of the RFA. For example, will the project contribute to the body of knowledge in neurotechnology? Does the project, for example, build on UK research capacity to develop and evaluate neurotechnology approaches, like Shaja mentioned earlier? And also, is the project innovative or has like critical importance in advancing neurotechnology? And also, we're looking whether the proposed work have the potential to impact, a broader population of people with spinal cord injury as well. In terms of research plans, we're looking whether the aims that are being proposed are clear and are they aligned but not dependent on one another, and also are the proposed outcomes that are proposed that are suggested, and also the methods, do they address the aims and hypothesis, and also is the project feasible within the time frame and also the budget that you are proposing. In terms of presentation, we're just looking for whether the LOI is clear and whether it is free from general errors, for example. And for the budget, we're not asking for a detailed budget at this point. This is so we're not requesting anything in detail. What will be allocated to each budget head, but we're looking for whether the budget that you're proposing is reasonable for the proposed work. Does it meet the stated budget criteria, for example? And if necessary, have you included a justification for something that you proposed in budget? In terms of Plex engagement as well, we're looking whether the application includes a good approach for the engagement of Plex, in the design and dissemination of your project. So for our grant application, we're using the online platform, Smart Simple. And you should see on this side here, this is the homepage where you are able to log in to Smart Simple. If you're a new user, you'll be asked to register, and then you can log in whenever you want again. So we ask that each applicant would create their own account, regardless of institution. Sometimes we have lots of applications or number of applications from the same institution, but that is fine, but we're just asking that they're not from the same lab. And then once you submit your LOI, you should automatically receive an email from Smart Simple that says your submission has been well received. And also it will send you your application summary as well. And also I'd like to take the opportunity to highlight that the closing date is 11:59 p.m. UK time on March the 3rd and 13th.
Thanks, Cynthia.
And just to wrap up, I'd just like to highlight the key deadlines as well. These are also in the application guidelines. And if you have any other questions, we welcome questions now as a Q&A. Take the opportunity for that. And any other questions while you're doing your applications, we are more than happy to help you whenever. Thank you so much for your attention and all the best with your LOIs.
Thanks, Cynthia. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. So there's a Q&A box, hopefully across the bottom of your screen. You're more than welcome to submit any questions that you have. I think you should also have the option to submit them anonymously if you wish, and we will do our best amongst the three of us to answer them. So I'll go ahead and field what we've got now. So thank you, Aidan, who says, great initiative, well done, this is badly needed. Can you advise on how many grants you expect to give out? So thanks for your question, Aidan. So in terms of how many grants we're expecting to give out, it would really depend on the proposals and the applications that we receive. So it's not something that we have a sort of a hard kind of number on. Any more questions? I mean, if not, hopefully that was super clear. Thanks, Aidan. So we'll just give you guys a couple more minutes in case you've got any burning questions. But from our point of view, hopefully we've given you a good overview of the application guidelines. And as we said, now's a really great opportunity to ask any questions. But if you are feeling shy or if you've not managed to think of any, you are more than welcome to submit them via our research inbox, which is research@spinal-research.org. We've got one more question from Pavel. Thank you for your outstanding work and dedication to patients with spinal cord injury. There are still relatively few organizations like you worldwide. Thank you, Pavel. Could you please confirm whether an application may be submitted by a consortium consisting of a clinical site and a non-UK company? So from our point of view, we encourage clinical partnerships. We also encourage industry partnerships, but our main criteria is that the lead applicant or the PI is based here in the UK. So I hope that answers your question, Pavel. And yes, we would definitely encourage, UK clinical collaborations. No problem. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? No pressure. We'll probably give you another minute or so. And like I said, you're more than welcome to submit them via email if that's what you prefer. I don't think, in terms of the overview and the presentation that we provided, I don't think we've missed anything. But just in case we have, is there anything anybody else wanted to add? Any burning comments or anything that we might have missed? Hopefully, I'd like to think we've captured it all.
Just
Okay.
encourage people to email the spinal research research email if you have questions, because Shajia and Cynthia are here to help you and answer all of your questions. So it's always great to interface with them around an RFA.
Okay, great. And just to let you know, sorry, I should have mentioned this at the start, but this webinar is recorded. So if there was something that you wanted to go over and have a look at, I think we'll be uploading it on YouTube and you should be able to flick through and have a look in your own time. But I think that's everything from me. I can't see any more questions. So thank you everybody for joining us, and we look forward to receiving your applications, and good luck. Thanks, guys. Take care.